as we go to the lane draw now for the second semi-final of the women's four. It's in lane 1, Great Britain, lane 2, USA, lane 3, China, lane 4, Denmark, lane 5, Ireland, and lane 6, Canada.
On the far side, the world champions, Heidi Long, Rowan McKell has come into that crew. Really earned her place, done so well to get the seat. Helen Glover in the 3 seat, the double Olympic champion, just takes a drink from the bottle. The really great stroke woman, Rebecca Shorten. Closest to us, Claire Collins, Maddie Wanamaker, Kelsey Relick, sister of Erin, who won gold in this event in 2018. Molly Brugman in the bows. There are the Chinese, Zhong Chushang, Li Xiaoxin, Wang Shifeng, and Xu Xingxi in the stroke seat, closest to us. Hope of Denmark, Julie Poulsen furthest away, Marie Nason, and then Frida Sangard Nielsen in the 3 seat, Astrid Steensberg in the stroke. Big strong girls, Tanita Paspura in the middle of that boat, the double world champion in the women's single scull, Long, Paspura, Magna and Lamb, and then the Canadians, Battersby Zimmerman, Giamatsky and Christina Walker in the stroke seat of the Canadian crew. So are the British crew going to look as smooth as the Dutch, or the Americans going to beat them like they did in Varese? Great questions. The Chinese and Danes going to be there for the 3rd place?
Great question, even if you say so yourself, Martin.
Shut up.
The Americans will look to put pressure on the British, but the British got away really nicely in that first stroke. We just saw a fantastic performance by the crew from the Netherlands, but Great Britain looked very good in the heat. Looked like they're really back to the best in this women's coxless 4. And at the moment you can see they look like the only boat who's eased into a bit of a lead. Otherwise, it's pretty much in a line across the course.
Yeah, there's the Americans blasting out, just a little bit left by the British, who have the lead. And I have to say, they've struggled to find the cohesion where to put Helen Glover, who's one of the strongest, not the strongest oarswoman in the British team. They haven't found the cohesion of the 4 last year, but now, Greg, it looks like the British have managed to find it. They had it in the heat. Now they look like they've got it in the semi.
Yes, looking good there for the British. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, huge start for the Brits. Very early, looking to go out and send a message here. They've just absolutely left the rest of the field in their dust. So let's see if they're able to hold that speed throughout the race. They know that they're going to have a challenge come here from the Americans in lane 2.
Yeah, well, it's funny, isn't it? We've seen a lot of crews over there with lane 1 go off in quite a controlled and calm kind of way. The British do look calm and controlled, but they're also taking distance off the rest of the field with every stroke, opening up this clear water lead that they've got on everyone. Just looking at the monitor beside me, it's a huge gap. It's clear water. It's 18 meters that they're leading already over the Americans, who I think are in 2nd.
Great job by James Harris to actually bring this crew together on their Varese training camp. In 2nd place, it is the Americans. In 3rd place, I think the Irish, Long, Paspura, Magna and Lamb, going through in a qualifying position. It's very close at the back of the field. The British, well, that's been the most impressive first quarter from anyone I've seen in this morning's races.
I think you're right, Martin. This is the biggest clear water lead we've seen by any crew coming through the first quarter. I'm surprised to see the Irish over here in lane 5. It's clearly one of their priority boats. They've moved Sunita Paspura into this crew. They're starting to fight against the Americans over on lane 2. Are they going to be able to get this important qualifying position?
Well, the Irish, where they're very well supported, they've got a very good system running. We've seen their women's pair already qualifying through. Will they be able to do it from lane 5 up against this crew from the United States over here in lane 2, looking very good, like they're easing their way into the 2nd position? I think that we're going to see the race pan out. I can't help thinking the Americans will ease comfortably into 2nd. We saw how good they were in Varese when they raced the British. But will the Irish be able to hold off those 2 crews to their left, the Danish and the Chinese?
Yeah, they have got Olympic pedigree in that Chinese boat. Wang Shifen, who's anchoring the 4 in the 3 seat, took that bronze medal, the Chinese women's 8 in Tokyo back in 2021. And with a heritage like that, experience like that, maybe got to back them over the second half. What are the British doing out in front? This is the crew of the morning.
This is just crazy. I can't believe what we're watching here. They've got lengths of clear water over the field as they're coming up to the 1,000-metre mark. Hopefully they haven't cooked themselves in the first half, but they look in control. There's no sign of them slowing down, and in fact that gap, if anything, is getting bigger. They are the fastest moving boat on the course as they come through the 1,000-metre mark. It is Great Britain with some, 4 lengths of clear water there? 4 lengths of lead there.
Well, we occasionally say things like, don't we, like making a statement, but this British crew really is making a statement. That's a huge lead we've got. We thought that crew from the Netherlands looked impressive in the previous semi-final, but Great Britain with an enormous lead there and leaving it down to these other crews to wrestle over who is going to get the second and third qualifying places.
Are they your pick for gold, Greg?
I can't help thinking at the moment they're looking pretty good for gold. I don't know what you mean about picks for gold, Martin. Have we gone through the whole draw and said who we think's going to win?
Well, let's leave that for after. America in second place. The Chinese just moving through. The Irish, are they, for that vital third qualification slot? Sunita Paspura, the old collegian Oz woman, the 41-year-old in that boat, really smacking it through for everything she's worth, trying to keep those bows ahead of the Chinese, and maybe it's taking them back on the Americans. That's a little bit difficult to tell the angle because the boat's just behind. America are in second place. I think the Irish are in third, but it's so close to the Chinese, Sarah.
I think I expected to see the Americans being more dominant in this race. They're starting to open up a bit more of a lead over the Chinese and the Irish. They can see that fight ensuring Brueggemann, Rielich, Wanamaker and Collins in the US boat. Are they going to have something to say in this final quarter? And it looks like they do. They are pushing themselves out to 3/4 of a length lead, perhaps, over the Chinese here, who have just moved ahead of the Irish.
Yeah, it's a big move from the Chinese that the Irish have gone out there. They took this on. Looking at Emma Lamb in the stroke seat of the Irish boat. She took the crew out hard. They're there, they're 500 to go. But the Chinese, you can see it, they've just got through them. It's a tiny lead now that the Chinese have for that third qualifying place.
America looking good there in the stroke seats. That's Claire Collins from Virginia. Behind her, Maddie Wanamaker from Wisconsin, Kelsey Rielich from Connecticut, and Molly Brueggemann from Ohio. China just in front of Ireland, and that's going to be a battle royal in the last quarter.
The Irish step to 40 strokes per minute. Here, US and China on 39 strokes per minute. They are trying to fight desperately to hang on, but the Chinese are going with the Americans. The Americans push again and, in fact, eking out a little bit more of a lead. But China, they can see that they have the advantage over Ireland, and they're stepping again.
Yeah, it's the top Chinese women's sweep boat. Zhang Xuxin, Liu Chuxin, Wang Shifen, Yu and Wang, the two Olympians, Xu Jingyi in the stroke seat, doing a fantastic job.
Well, we're seeing the British four here. They're still moving very fast. They're low in the stroke rate. What about the Chinese? We don't often see Chinese crews sprint well in the last 500, but the Chinese at the moment are finding a sprint. They are certainly keeping with the Americans, and they're holding off the Irish, which is so important to them.
Yeah, the Irish aren't going to do it. I think I look back and China do have almost a length's lead, but this British crew have led from the very first stroke. They are coming down to the finish. They will qualify their boat for Paris. It's been a marvellous championship so far for the British. Let's not jinx them for the final, where they will now hope to take gold, but job one done. They've qualified the boat for Paris. The Americans will also get another Paris qualification, as will the Chinese. The Irish, their charge has faded, and it is the boat from Denmark who will take fourth place. We didn't talk about them much. Ireland coming in fifth and Canada in sixth place.
So it's sort of hard to tell with the conditions. I'm sure it's quite variable, but the Dutch won in a time of 6:52.72. The British there 7:06.29. So some 14 seconds difference between those two races.
14 seconds quicker.
What was the difference to 1,000, Sarah?
So the British came through in 3:27. And the Dutch came through in 3:24.
Okay.
So
pretty good
although
2
the
or 3
British
seconds at halfway, yeah. So the British looked good. We can see it there, but a great little stat that Sarah Cook's found for us, that the Netherlands were considerably quicker.